What would you do if one accidental moment could change your entire life? This is the story of a single dad who walked into the wrong room at the wrong time, or maybe the right time, a simple repair job in a powerful CEO's office. Turns into something no one expected. But instead of making a mistake, he made a choice one that caught the attention of the most powerful woman in the building. Respect, dignity, and one unexpected encounter. Can they really change destiny? If you love emotional and life-changing stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. Let's get started. The executive floor of the Manhattan Tower was unusually quiet, the kind of silence that only existed after business hours, in places meant for power and decisions. Soft lights lined the hallway, reflecting off glass walls and polished floors. The single dad adjusted the strap of his worn tool bag as he stepped out of the elevator, double-checking the work order on his phone. A lighting fault in the CEO's private office. Urgent, it had said. He hesitated for a second. Floors like this weren't part of his usual routine. Still, work was work. Pushing the door open gently, he stepped inside. The room was dim, lit only by the fading glow of the city skyline pouring through the massive windows. He moved toward the control panel, crouching slightly as he began checking the wiring. Then suddenly the lights flickered. In an instant, the entire room illuminated. He froze across the office. Partially shielded by a sleek glass divider, stood the CEO, caught in the middle of changing after what must have been a long day. For a split second, the situation hung in the air. Heavy and unexpected, his reaction was immediate. He turned around sharply, facing the wall as if it were the only safe direction in the world. "I'm sorry, I didn't know anyone was here," he said quickly, his voice steady but respectful. He even took a small step back, giving more space without being asked. There was no awkward shifting, no lingering glance, nothing. Just silence behind him. The CEO paused, surprised. She had dealt with powerful men, arrogant investors, and people who often forgot boundaries. But this was different. She studied him quietly, his posture, his restraint, the way he kept his eyes averted. Without hesitation, it wasn't fear. It was principle for the first time that evening. She didn't feel exposed, she felt respected. And in that unexpected moment, something about him stayed in her mind, something she couldn't ignore. The next morning, the building felt completely different to him. What had been a quiet, routine job the night before now carried a strange weight. When his supervisor told him he'd been requested upstairs by the CEO, herself, his stomach tightened. Calls like that didn't usually end well for someone in his position. He walked into the conference room aware of every step. A long glass table stretched across the center, surrounded by senior executives in tailored suits. Conversations hushed as he entered. At the far end sat the CEO, composed and unreadable. "Have a seat," she said calmly. He did, keeping his posture straight, his hands resting quietly in his lap. He didn't try to explain himself. He didn't rush to defend, he simply waited. The CEO leaned forward slightly, her eyes fixed on him last night. She began, "You had a choice." Most people in that situation would have reacted differently. The room stayed silent, every executive watching closely. "Why didn't you look?" The question was direct. But her tone wasn't accusatory. It was curious. He met her gaze for the first time. "Because it wasn't my place," he said simply. "Respect matters more than opportunity." A faint shift moved through the room. Some executives exchanged glances. The answer was too straightforward to be rehearsed, too sincere to be strategic. The CEO held his gaze for a moment longer, as if weighing something deeper than his words. Then she leaned back, thoughtful. "You're not just a maintenance technician, are you?" she asked. He hesitated briefly, then shook his head. "I used to be an engineer. Things changed." That was all he said, but it was enough. The CEO nodded slowly as if pieces were falling into place. "Good," she replied. "Because I need someone who sees beyond the obvious." By the time the meeting ended, the room no longer saw him as just a worker, and he walked out knowing that something in his life had quietly but permanently shifted.